Welcome to Your Voice Must Be Heard podcast. I'm your host, Marquita McGhee, a happy wife, proud mother, career woman, and voiceover artist. I created this podcast as a place to be encouraged through wisdom for different aspects of life. We all navigate through the many challenges of life, feeling unfulfilled in our purpose, and we believe there's more. We will explore in this podcast keys to unlock the door to the next level and transform. I'll be interviewing people who have found unconventional wisdom that catapulted them to success in business, health, relationships, and their gifts in the arts. We will reflect on how you can apply unconventional wisdom to achieve your success, affirming what you believe and helping you create your transformation story. Come along with me into this week's episode to capture this wisdom and have forward movement in your life. As we are wrapping the third part of the business pillar of the podcast, I want all the entrepreneurs, all the business people to take a moment, and within your business, I want you to look at the end from the beginning, or beginning with the end in mind. You can either just be getting started or been in business for a while. Where do you see yourself in 1 year or 5 years, and what will it take for you to get there? Today, I want to share with you the voiceover side of the podcast. I'm an audiobook narrator, and I've researched a great book on business secrets that I want to narrate for you today. So sit back, relax, and tune your listening ear to secret number 17. Raise the limits on yourself and others by imposing boundaries and structures. Children do not manage their own lives. They are governed externally by their parents. Their perception of what is and isn't allowed is dictated wholly by what their parents allow. As a child, you could not play ball in the street. You had to be in bed by 9 o'clock. You had to finish your greens. You had to do chores, attend school, and say please and thank you. You didn't necessarily understand why you had to do those things, only that you did. Children are told what to do and not to do. To many a child, life seems defined by limits, demands, and requirements. They do not necessarily know the reasons for these external limits. As adults, parents understand the reason for imposing the rules. The rules are there to keep children safe, and we, as adults, impose them because we know better. But children are not the only ones that require explicit boundaries and responsibilities. Adults do too. This is because, paradoxically, the more confined and structured you are, the freer you are. By imposing structure upon your own life, you have a better understanding of the function of the rules that govern you. Many adults do not comprehend this because it is counterintuitive. You may ask, how can limitations provide freedom? God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. Exodus 32:16 reads, "And the tablets were the work of God, and the writings were the writings of God engraved upon the tablets." The Torah uses the Hebrew word for engraved, charut. What you may not know is that this word has 2 meanings. The first, as we have said, is engraved, as if marked in stone. When you write something in stone, it is indelible. No eraser can remove it. When you engrave something, it cannot be changed. The second meaning of charut is freedom, which seems to be exactly the opposite of engrave. As you have seen before, it is always significant when a Hebrew word has 2 meanings. There will be an intersection between those meanings. This is not true in English. In English, for example, a rose is a flower and is also a verb for standing up. What does this mean? Nothing. It's just a word used twice. But Hebrew is different because it is the Lord's language, and in the Lord's language, a word with 2 meanings binds those 2 things. So we know then that the concepts of freedom and engraved are somehow related, even though they appear to be opposites. Freedom is the opportunity to be creative, to be a creator. When we have total freedom, we have infinite possibility to do whatever we want. We have the potential to get anything done, but potential does not mean actual. It is only once we restrict our freedom by filling up our work week with tasks that we actually get anything accomplished. But this also closes off the potential possibilities we had, which in turn further restricts our freedom. As we close off possibilities in this way, our lives become set in stone, engraved. This is where the paradoxical effect comes from. The more we restrict our freedom by setting rules and limitations on ourselves, the freer we are to actually be productive. The idle person who leaves himself free to do whatever he likes when he likes has the potential to accomplish anything, but he actually accomplishes less than the person who rigorously restricts his freedom in order to focus in on what he wants to accomplish. It is he who carves his life and time, his schedule, into granite who is genuinely free. The people who put limits on their own freedom, who do as they wish, when they wish, are embracing childishness. Children want to stay up all night even though they will be tired the next day and get nothing done. Put another way, children free to stay up all night are not free to get anything done the next day. But children who have their schedules engraved in stone for them, who are restricted from staying up late, are free to enjoy the following day free of exhaustion. As adults, we force limits on our children, and by setting limits on their freedom to do as they wish, we free them from the consequences of their bad choices. By setting limits on a child's bedtime, a parent gives the child the freedom to be awake and alert the next day. And in doing so, parents do children another favor. They teach them the value of rules and structure in life. The child can only see that he wants to stay awake. The adult can see how that desire, if fulfilled, robs the child of freedom to be productive the following day. As adults, we do not have guardian protectors to watch over us. We have to establish rules and boundaries for ourselves, much as we do for our children. We'd rather leave our schedules open and uncommitted, our days free to do as we feel, but this would be doing ourselves a disservice. By limiting our freedom, by requiring ourselves to be organized and forcing ourselves to use time wisely, we are giving ourselves the freedom to be creative and productive. This is why time management is so important. Commit to time management. Engrave your schedule in granite so that you might be free to thrive in business. Lock yourself into productive commitments as much as possible. Every day on your calendar should be full of productive work. Buy yourself a calendar if you don't have one and start making commitments. You may give yourself one day to rest and remain free to do as you wish, but on the remaining 6 days, you must lock yourself into commitments as much as possible. You must be productive. This is how you succeed in business. Fail to do so, and your competitors will outpace you. I also encourage you to keep a journal in which you can keep a record of whether or not you completed your goals. It is not enough to set goals, you must meet them. You have to hold yourself accountable. There are 2 common reasons people do not reach their goals. One is that their scheduling is overly optimistic and they need to set more reasonable goals. The other, which is far more common, is that people fail to focus on what actually needs doing. At the end of each day, I want you to take an honest inventory and ask yourself if you worked hard as you could or if you goofed off or procrastinated. Be brutally honest with yourself. Did you not get everything done that you set out to do because it was too much, or did you simply fail to fully commit yourself to working all day long? Take inventory of what you did that day. If you failed to get through all of your sales calls and yet found time to watch a funny animal video on YouTube, send emails to friends, and play a game of chess on your phone, then the problem is not that you didn't have the time to finish your work. is that you simply failed to do your work. True freedom is not the opportunity to do as we please, but rather it is the opportunity to lock ourselves down into the things that need doing. True freedom is the ability to be creative, by which I mean to create. Remember, making money through creating commerce and business is one of the most thrilling and creative things we can possibly do. We don't win money, we earn it. We make it. Business creates money and it creates good in the world. That is creative, the ultimate act of creation that man is capable of. When two or more human beings serve one another by trading, they are literally creating money, bringing it into the world, and there is nothing better than this. But to be able to earn money, we must set limits on ourselves and our freedom. Earning money requires focus and a plan. You have probably heard people, indecisive, non-committal, unproductive people, say that they prefer to keep their options open. A man who avoids marrying in order to keep his options open in case something better comes along will never marry, ever. He is waiting for an opportunity that he would not seize even if it came, because there is always a better hypothetical option down the line. What good is keeping your options open if you aren't ever going to settle down? Other men may keep their options open as a way of intentionally playing the field forever. This is a childish urge. These men, too, will never settle down, never marry, and never have a family. They would drift from one woman to the next for no reason, with no purpose, and no end in sight. This man will probably have a hard time investing his money because the ability to be productive, whether through getting married and creating a family or investing money and creating a business, is only possible when we limit our options and freedom by choosing a direction and focus. You want to confine yourself by making purposeful choices and following them through to the end. Freedom, potential, options. These are traps. They rob us of the chance to be productive and creative. Narrow your freedom. Limit your options. Choose your path, and you will be free to pursue your goals to their ultimate end. If you enjoyed this narration and you want to know more about this book and all of the business secrets in it, leave us a comment on our Instagram page for this episode. Share this episode with a friend, and who knows, you might get this book for free. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Your Voice Must Be Heard podcast. I hope the story you heard inspired and motivated you to take action for transformation in some aspect of your life. I would love it if you send an email with questions, share your enlightening moment, or profound wisdom you may have. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Your Voice Must Be Heard podcast. I look forward to hearing from you. See you in the next episode. Bye.